Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, the Road Dog, with none other than, as I said in the pre-show, the friendly giant himself. We're playing the opposite game today, apparently, folks. Karl Bryan.
Shoots.
Welcome to the show.
How goes it, Road Dog? What's happening in Road Dog's world?
Well, you know what? I've been talking about my passion for youth sports coaching lately, but you coached your daughter's first hockey game, Shoots. I want to know how that went.
I did. I was embarrassingly excited before the game.
Did you suit up and do the whole Don Cherry thing, or not so much?
We've actually got the coaches I've got myself a T-shirt and it says "Coach" on the back, and they got me one, and I wore that. So there you go. So I was ready to go. But honestly, it was really good. In fact, you know what? I put out literally this morning to date this thing, but I put out a video where I talked a little bit about it. And I'll tell you, Road Dog, we won. We took it home 5-1. Maybe here's what I said in the video, and this is where you want to go, and this is what here to talk about. But I asked myself, these kids are green, right? Like my daughter I can't believe that she's playing hockey. I did not. It was my wife that really convinced her to play hockey. I didn't even cross my mind, to be honest with you. She's a little bit of a girly's girl, and I just didn't think hockey was going to be her thing, right? She didn't enjoy soccer all that much. So I just didn't think hockey would be her deal. But she's out there. And I'm thinking of before the game, I'm coaching. First thing I do, I get all of the kids' names. I did my best to get the pronunciation because I got some names that I wasn't exactly sure how to say them. Why? Because I want my kids to feel good, right? But had all of their names, and in warm up, I'm working out, okay, this kid, this kid, this kid, this kid. I got all of their names, pretty much nailed it right before the game even started. Good warm up. But at halftime, here's the thing. So these kids can't play hockey. All right, hang on. Whoa. Before I go, the first thing I'm thinking about is how can I help these kids win? Because I know you can be a beginner, you can be intermediate, and you can be elite. And at the end of it, if you won, the satisfaction and you had way more fun when you win, right? Like even beer league, right? Road Dog, when you're doing, you're curling, there's no doubt in my mind. You bring it home, good team, bad team, good game, bad game. When you win, you just feel better. So one of the things I went in, I said, my daughter's first game, and these kids, they're new. I wanted to win. You know what I mean? Not, this is like beginner hockey on steroids, right? I wanted to win. So that was it. So at halftime, so a lot of them, I'm like, okay, what are these kids doing wrong? And I'm looking obviously for some fundamentals, but the kids who get the puck and then they just shoot it away for themselves and then skate onto it. And then they get the puck and then they shoot it away and then they skate onto it. Well, that's, probably no surprise to anybody listening. That's not the way you play hockey, right? You got to get that puck. You got to keep it on your stick and you got to keep it away from the other team. There's one thing I know about hockey, and this is where it's very similar to basketball, but it's a game of keep away. There's a reason why basketball has a shot clock, right? Because otherwise LeBron James just grabbed the ball. You never get away from it, right? So there's a reason there's a shot clock. In hockey, there's not a shot clock. And one of the things you want to do is you want to keep it away from the other team. Well, shooting it is the exact, this is just giving it's giving the puck away. It's what it's doing. But anyway, so at halftime, the other kids are drinking water and I'm literally on the rink. And especially this one little guy who's really good. He's my stud. He's my guy. He's the one that's this kid's going to win the scoring title this year is my goal. Anyways, I got the kids skating around. They're drinking water on the other team, standing against the boards. And my guys are doing circles with the puck. Holding onto the puck, not allowed to shoot it away, not allowed to lose it. Go around, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And that's, And then lo and behold, guess what? And then during the game, so the second half, when I'm calling out, don't shoot it, don't shoot it, don't shoot it, I think that it meant a little bit more. And without doubt, my guys and girls on the team, they were holding on to the puck a little bit more. So anyway, so my kids were a little thirsty for the second half. But it was good. Shoots, I don't know. It was like so much fun. It was like embarrassingly fun, if I'm totally honest with you. So lots of people there, like everybody's real excited. This is the first game of the year. And this is probably like on the island, this is like the number one sport for expats. Like it's popular. And there's lots of girls. You'd be blown away at how many pink helmets were been around. So shoots, that's how it went. We won. Took it down, they say 5-1. Bingo, bango, bongo. And my daughter had a great time. Her best bud kind of thing plays on the same team, and she had a great time. And the little goalie is Sage's best bud's brother, and he did great, and he was very happy. So we won, shoots. So and I don't know. Is that what we're looking for, man? How did I do? What do you think?
It's good, bud. It's amazing though how fun it is to coach these kids, right? Because it's so much beyond the game, and that's the best part of it. So is this going to be like was this just a one-off, or are you going to be coaching the team?
Buddy, this is a league, man. I'm in. That's it, man. I'm already organizing extra training. We're gonna crush this little hockey league, bud. We're gonna be going. I told them Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Make no plans. I think the parents are a little scared of me, but anyways, whatever. But we'll be fine.
Did the t-shirt did it match your sweatpants, or how'd that go? Did that work out?
Shorts, bud. Shorts all the way, man.
Shorts. I forget island life. Listen to this. Holy smokes. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, folks. And this is how it works when you're the big shooter himself. Number 22, number one in your program. Sorry, number one in your heart. That's what I meant.
Nice.
Hey, speaking of big shooters, man, this. I'm getting so good at these transitions. It's insane.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to talk about Elon and Twitter, but I love how everybody is raking Elon over the coals last week. It's just like, how could he possibly lay off all those people? Meanwhile, enter Meta and Zucks, and it's like, and they're doing the same thing. This wasn't just a Twitter thing, folks. Like Zuck laid off, 1,100 employees? And I love it. People are like, yeah, but he laid off somebody who was whatever under whatever hardship. It's like, do you honestly think he reviewed every individual file? Like, get a life. Anyways, it's literally this to this, you're done.
You don't think he did?
You think Elon Musk, like Karl Bryan, who time management 101 guy right here, you think that Elon spent the time to look after a couple hundred names and making sure that all of their personal circumstances fit in with his layoff plans? I'm pretty sure he doesn't give a rip about that. He'll just pay whatever he needs to. No?
Oh yeah, look, shoots. It needed to happen, gonna happen, always gonna happen. It doesn't matter who was running Twitter. That was happening. So.
Oh, it was happening for sure. But anyways, so how do you think this whole story is gonna unfold?
Look, he'll double the value. Like, again, it's so funny to listen to the narrative in terms of, and you notice that it's like dramatic one way or the other. He's either going to crush it or, of course, the world's going to fall apart. He'll double its value in 48 months, is my opinion. Let's just call it 50 million. It'll be 100 million in 48 months. And this can be, I would like to, again, timestamp it. Let's see if I'm right. I bet I am. Could be wrong. Could go to zero. Who knows? But my money all day long, twice on Sunday, will be on him doubling it. And then, by the way, once he doubles it, you go from 50 to 100 billion. Then you go to, then you move towards 1 trillion, where some of the other big boys have ended up, which is an insane number. People don't realize, like, 1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 32 years. Right. So 11 days, 32 years. To compare 1 million to 1 billion is like, they're not comparable. And then, by the way, what is 1 trillion seconds? If 1 billion seconds is 32 days, 32 years, sorry. What is 1 trillion second? It's something like 31,000 yeti trillion years. That's 32 years for a billion seconds and 32,000 years for a trillion seconds. Am I saying that right? It's just crazy. Anyways, so they'll go to 100 billion. They'll end up that. If they go from 50 to 100 billion, they'll be experiencing hockey style, like hockey stick type growth, and it'll move in an insanely quick, direction towards a trillion. That's my opinion. So I'm just thinking. I think they're going to leave. I think he's laying off a lot of these people, and his goal will be to get them out of California. He's very vocal about that in the past, right? Where he's not a huge fan of California, and all these people, by the way, saying I'm leaving. I said this in an email, and it's like when someone feels the need to tell you they're leaving Facebook. They are not like, and by the way, post it. They're going to leave Facebook, and then they tell you on Facebook that they're leaving Facebook. I'll give you the red hot tip. They're not leaving Facebook, right? And by the way, the more that they stamp their feet, the more that you can be guaranteed that they're going to be back before you know it. So if someone's leaving Twitter, again, they're going to have absolutely no need to tell anyone and to talk about it. So, they just exit. It's like when someone's getting divorced, right? By the time they've made that decision and they've got there, it's very calm, right? There's no emotion involved. It's just transactional at that stage. So if you're going to leave Facebook, you just leave Facebook. If you're going to leave Twitter, you just leave Twitter. You would feel no need to go and jump up and down and tell everybody. So, but I think so. The problem with Twitter is there's no real business model in place, right? Like they don't earn money. Running 4-day training right now internally on how to read financial statements. And basically there's a cash flow statement, and there's 3 types of cash that live on it. There's operating cash, there's investment cash, and then there's finance cash. Twitter are masters and have been masters for many years at finance cash. In other words, raising capital, and then not so good at building a business that earns money through operations, paid accounts, advertising, subscriptions, shopping, conferencing, acquisition, right? Like the way Facebook bought Instagram and then Facebook bought WhatsApp. To my knowledge, Twitter really hasn't done any of that. Certainly not on that level, not even close. So basically, they are not very good at operation cash. And what is the first thing that Elon Musk, when he took over? He started doing, what do they call it? Twitter Blue. And it's like $10 a month or $5 a month, whatever it is, right? Like it's $10 a month. And there were some issues, of course, right? But the first thing he did is he started revving the money engine, right? And you got to understand, and then what's the functionality? What's the utility? It's to eliminate all the fake accounts, right? So like if you were pissed off and like if you're a Kardashian and then there's a bunch of fake Kardashian accounts out there, wouldn't you like this idea, right? And the answer is obviously. So it's not just about the Kardashians. There's lots of B-grade players that got people running around with fake accounts all over the shop. So this is a really good thing. So he immediately solved the problem that he knows is out there, and then he turned it into an insane money generating, dealio for the business on a monthly recurring basis, right? I think somebody that turns on the blue check mark is going to want to turn off the blue check mark, right? And other platforms will follow suit, in my opinion, right? And LinkedIn are already doing this, by the way. They're charging like $20 to $150 a month. So it's not like this is unprecedented by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, there's a debate. If you looked at it from the other angle, you'd go, wow, he's doing this so cheaply. It's incredible, right? And he'll also wildly go after content creators. He is going to make it really, really attractive. In other words, he's going to make it really, really easy for them to make money in an impressive way on Twitter. Your guess is as good as mine as to how he does it, but watch this space and he'll absolutely do that. He's just going to make it more functional, Road Dog, right? Like he'll increase the utility of it. Like, I mean, the guy built PayPal and online merchant services. He built SpaceX and he launched a rocket into outer space, right? Nothing serious. And he learned it on YouTube, right? Tesla into the juggernaut that it is. It's a car brand now that's, leaving Ford and others that have been in the game for, 100 years plus scrambling. And by the way, Tesla is a battery company. right? It's not a car company. It's a battery company. It's what people miss. So, if he's done if he's done that in all those different industries, and by the way, he started from scratch, like with Tesla and whatnot. He started from his airplane was on the tarmac, right? From literally a standing start. Here he's starting with, what did he pay? 44 billion. Is that what it was? And he's got hundreds of millions of eyeballs as a starting point. And then, by the way, everybody's saying that he overpaid at whatever that number was, 40 odd, let's call it 44 billion. I don't know what it was, right? Let's call it 44 billion. They're saying he overpaid. If he doubles it in a couple of years, the way that I project, and have a look at what others smarter than me are saying, but I'd be amazed if anybody in the know doesn't say, he wouldn't have bought it if he didn't see a path to 100 billion. He wouldn't have bought it. I'll give you the red hot tip. I mean, he's playing chess, and everybody else is out there playing checkers. So yeah, I think that he's going to kill it, Road Dog. And again, I think that this will be the business that has the biggest impact. I think this is the one that's going to bring all of the others together. And remember, he who controls your attention controls you. So I don't know, Tesla doesn't have your attention. It just got your attention. This has already got your attention. And anybody listening and thinking that Twitter isn't like a major player, believe me, the big dogs, Twitter, don't kid yourself. Twitter is, to call it a major player and to say that it's on Facebook's level would be an understatement. It's just a very different platform. It's like Facebook is for grandma and grandpa and, family kind of stuff. And Twitter, it's political, it's business. Anyway, I don't want to prattle on, and I ain't the expert there, and I don't want to be. I just think it's going to be an amazing thing. And even it will be an amazing thing, even for the most staunch liberal or democratic minded person. It will end up being a really positive for them. And it will clearly be a really positive for, the conservative Republican type. I think it probably already is for them. But so that's my answer, Shoots. What do you think?
Well, it's funny. When I was talking about the layoffs, one of our insiders made a comment that Amazon had an announcement today. So I looked it up. Amazon's going to lay off 10,000 employees. So
yeah. Look.
Cue the outrage, everybody. Cue the outrage. How dare they? Anyways, on that note, speaking of getting rid of things and discounting, there was something else, I believe, that you wanted to share about discounting. I think something that you picked up.
Yeah. So, okay. How about like a 60? I was just thinking, again, we talked about discounting, probably went deeper than either of us planned on it. But look, moving on, it's still, Road Dog, I'm having a bad time today. I'm stumbling. But anyways, Gary Vaynerchuk, he built this family liquor store from, I think it's like a $3 million when he took over to a $60 million business in annual sales. And not bad for a 20-year-old, by the way. It was trading baseball cards when he took it over. His primary advertising strategy was a loss leader, like as in fall into the family of discounting. And so basically what would he do? He advertised the most popular brands like Budweiser, Coors, Jim Beam, Canadian Club, and whatever else, right? The other like top sellers. And he promoted them for below cost, as in the store lost money, didn't break even, didn't make fine margins. It lost money when somebody came in and bought what they actually advertised. So Bud, Canadian Club, what have you. But customers would walk in the door for these discounted offers. And then what would happen was storytelling. That again, we've talked about this on the podcast to death and many, many times, but storytelling would effectively take over. So like basically what he did is he had salespeople working the floor of his liquor store. Instead of attendants and people just standing there and, you know what I mean? Like, just, the gal or the guy working behind the till, dinging the money. He basically had sales guys. He had storytellers, right? So he'd encourage the Bud. And by the way, he was the number one sales guy. That shouldn't be a surprise, right? He was always there. But he'd take the Budweiser guy and also get them to try a craft brew that was similar but far superior for a list of it's called mouth-watering reasons that included, better for you, better tasting, no headache the next day. And really, why not support a family-owned, smaller, local type business, right? And then, by the way, as they did that, the story continued. And oh, well, if you like that, why don't you take a bottle of red home for your wife? And again, tell them a story about a killer wine. Maybe it's one that they just got in, and all the other wives are raving about all the different reasons. It's fantastic for this reason, and it's fantastic for that, and it goes with chicken, or it goes with fish, or it goes whatever it goes with. It goes with your girlfriends, right? It's got a cool name, it's got a cool logo, it's got a cool commercial, it's got a cool slant, whatever it is, right? So they're telling stories. Then all of a sudden, they're sending the wife home with this new this new craft booze that they never planned on leaving with. And now hopefully this is pretty obvious, but these boutique labels have got massive high gross profit margins, right? And gross profit margin, of course, the holy grail of business, right? Again, I told you I'm literally running as I speak. I'm halfway through running a 4-day training on how to read financial statements, right? So these boutique sales with massive margins easily made up for the losses they were taking on Budweiser, Jim Beam, and the other big names, right? And plus, they found that the clients tended to be really loyal towards these smaller craft options when they got it, right? Because it was unique and it was neat, and their friends would come over, and it's like, oh, where did you get this? It's a way, like, if you pull out a Bud, I mean, there's no more story to be told about it, right? Whereas a craft, like a craft option, it's all of a sudden a talking point, and now all of a sudden you start defending the beer, talking about the beer, buttering up the beer, as in talking about how amazing it is. Well, guess what you want to do? You want to go get another one. Well, guess where you buy it? This is a craft brewery, right? Like, remember, the other liquor stores aren't carrying it. So all of a sudden it actually increased traffic over time, right? And of course they were doing the math and this worked, but they were losing, so it's discounting, but they were losing money to get people into the store, to turn them around, tell a story, go into sales mode, to basically bring them into the different aisles with craft. And if you remember, like Gary Vee, he got started with Line Wine Library TV. I think that's what it was, right? So basically he was telling stories and, drinking wine and spitting it into the Jets football hat, which you may not seen. But I just think that that is a strategy. Like, maybe let's get super crazy, right? And you could advertise. So let's talk about business coaches. We're not selling Jim Beam or craft beer. Road Dog, do you think like a business coach could advertise the only business coach in town that operates on 5.5% of your clients' additional revenues? Right? Or maybe you're using our software and you can find any business owner 100 grand, 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. And again, find them the 100 grand in record time. But do you think that might be able to get you in the door? And then you tell a powerful and influential story to basically unlock the road towards $2,000 a month retainer, as in your high-end coaching fees. Like, do you see how you could put an advert out there? And by the way, expect to have to work a little bit for that 5.5% or whatever that offer is. But if you've got good storytelling ability and you've got good segue, you've got the ability to basically be confident. And remember, when I say be confident, again, on YouTube video I literally put out today, what I was talking about is like I would sit down with a business owner back in the day, and I would have a check in my pocket. This would, almost all face to face. I have a check in my pocket, and I would whip out the check. Like, I would say, okay, so this is way back 2004, 2005, 2006, right? So I say, Road Dog, do you want to buy my coaching? You say how much? I say 10 grand. And then you're sitting there humming, hawing, a few objections. You want to call your wife, or you're asking your wife, and your wife walks in the room, whatever it is. I would pull a check out of my inside pocket. I'd write, Road Dog, $10,000. And then I would date it today, 12 months from, now. And basically say, does this, turn it around, slide it across the desk and say, look, does this make you a little bit more comfortable, right? And magically, guess what? I got the coaching clients. My conversions were insane. I was never short of a client. That was just never, my problem was always keeping up and staying organized. It was never being able to find a client. But what I'm getting at there, Road Dog, is like putting that discount out there of 5.5% to do. What I want you to, it's not what you do, it's who you are, right? And if you really want to crush it as a business coach and you really want to move the needle, I want you to go deeper than you're going to go to the networking function and make this offer. You're going to go to the oil and gas club, join and make this offer. You're going to go to the Chamber of Commerce and speak to the gal, sells all the memberships and organizes all the speakers. And this is going to be your pitch. This is going to be your offer. Here's what you're going to do. I want you to go go Steve Jobs, go Gordon Gekko, go like Superman, go Spider-Man, go Wonder Woman, go Oprah, and like think of how Michael Jordan would be a great example. When you watch a replay from back in the day and watch Michael Jordan walk onto a basketball court. I mean, I just don't know if anybody else has ever walked onto a basketball court and looked like that, right? Like, again, the level of confidence, what I'm trying to get at is who he is. Why did he dominate year after year, game after game, playoffs after playoffs? Just so dominant. It was insane. And then, by the way, then he's the guy in the movies and he's the guy in the commercials. And then, he becomes an owner in Nike and he becomes a billionaire. It's just who he is. I would challenge everybody listening, Road Dog, to not just, dig deep, because maybe why I'm going there, like discounting is not something that Road Dog and I want to be talking about or throwing out as like, the number one option. We talked about that for the last few weeks in different ways, right? It's not a starting point. But if you think about Gary Vaynerchuk, he did $60 million of liquor sales and he started at the age of 20 by basically going, well, this is a good idea. Everybody else is advertising this. I'm going to advertise Budweiser, Coors Light, and all the most popular liquors. I'm going to lose money. But when they come in, I will convince them to get over to the craft brewery aisle and I will sell them booze and I will sell them beer and I will sell them wine and I will convince them. Like, he had no idea, but it came from a, significantly, come from a very, very deep level of identity and who you are. So I don't know. That's what I want to say here, Road Dog. I don't want anybody here to think that we're trying to turn them into the discounter. What we're trying to do is, create a dynamic where success is the only option. And you are, you're not going to be the one that's going to die wondering. You're going to go all in, do whatever it takes. And again, don't do your best. You're going to do what it takes. And always remember this, you'll be remembered in life for what you refuse to give up on. And then my question is, what do you refuse to give up on? The coaches that are the least successful with us are the ones that go day to day, week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, and are deciding ongoing if they're going to continue. If that's you, this is just not for you. You've got to go deeper. And that's not to say it's not for you. It's that you're going to have to look inside yourself. You're going to have to, if you really want to crush this and you legitimately want to hit 500 grand, and then you want to move to 750 and you want to become one of our unicorns that hit $1 million, it's going to come from within you. You know what I mean? Like you just become that individual that this is what you do and this is what you are, as in a business coach, a business consultant, a business strategist, a marketing consultant, somebody who's just not going to, you're not going to accept anything but success. So Road Dog, that's what I did want to go over. Just look, Gary Vaynerchuk, that story is insane, in my opinion, and the way that he did it. And he obviously crushed it. And he became, again, Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, the guy's literally world famous. Yeah, so there you go, Shoots. That's my answer. But
So a couple things. First off, there's a whole identity issue that we could discuss right there of just truly believing that you are the person that you want to become. But before I go there, when you talk about discounting, we're heading into Black Friday, right? So perfect example. So by just like Gary V did, it was basically, it's that loss leader thing, right? Isn't that all it is? It's just like, how many Black Friday specials are you going to see? How many marketing offers, period, do you see that are drawing you in enough to get your attention, but then you're going to ultimately sell them something else, right? No different, right? You with me on that?
100%. That's it. So Road Dog, can I expand on that? So here's what happens. A business coach will run a Black Friday sale, quote unquote, right? In some way, shape, or form, come to my live event, download my report, download my book for free. And then they'll only end up like they'll get one client and only a few takers on the offer that they put out there, right? And then they see it as a failure. But then if you looked at every event throughout the year, so back to school, hockey just, so I was like, hockey just started. I was helping. So just hockey just started. There's some promotions they should be doing in that every year hockey started. I had all kinds of promotions when I owned a hockey rink to basically hockey started. You could imagine the sales. But there's Thanksgiving, there's Christmas. What did I say? There's back to school. There's Veterans Day, Remembrance Day in Canada. Just think of all the holidays throughout the year. And then if you got one client on every single holiday, let's just assume there's got to be there's one reason a month, and let's assume there's a couple that there's not. Summer, fall, spring, everything, right? But let's just go 10 offers a year. Then that's 10 extra clients a year on what was perceived to be a failure because you only put it out there and you only got one sale, right? Like often, Road Dog, you'll go to these what do you call them? Like, these events that you go to and then it's a pitch fest, right? That personally I'm just not a huge fan of, but who cares what I think? But you go and there's like 10 speakers and there's 10 people pitching, right? Well, the big dogs get up there and they pitch, and guess how many sales they make? 1, 3, 5. And you think that they got their head between their legs and they're like, oh my gosh, what a failure. And of course, they're not happy with those types of results in any way, shape, or form, especially when they've been in the room and they've got 100 sales or 1,000 sales or 3,000 or 5,000, 10,000 sales in one pitch. Absolutely happened. But those exact speakers go to different events and they only get 1, 3, 5, 10 sales. And every time somebody comes up and says something to the effect of, oh, like, do you regret pitching? Like, do you feel like that was the wrong room? And they'll say, like, in concert with one another, just no, you never speak without pitching because that's who they are. That's what they are. That's what they do. And if nothing else, what they do is they see it as training and practice for the event when they get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 sales, right? But anyways, Road Dog, you just mentioned again. So should a coach throw an offer out there for Black Friday, and all the other, and Christmas, et cetera? And the answer is yes. Just don't expect a whole bunch of sales. And if you do get one, what the heck? And by the way, if you only get like 0.5, like only every second offer gets one client, and I said that you were going to, do it 10 times, that's 5 clients this year. And by the way, at $2,000 a pop, do the math, that's not bad money. Right? 60 grand for, hyping up, events, not a bad deal. So anywho, yeah, Road Dog, I totally agree. And I think that's where everybody's looking for the home run. Everybody's looking for the hack. Everybody's looking, to cut in line. And I just think you got to look at it differently. You got to delayed gratification, hard work, consistency. Again, they're not more successful. They're not more successful than you because they're bigger, badder, meaner, richer, better contacts. It's because they outworked you on a consistent basis, on a daily basis. That's it. And by the way, Road Dog, my video today when I was talking about my daughter's game, like, it is the fundamentals. In fact, that was the name of the video. What's wrong with your fundamentals? Just keep every day consistency. So I'm on board, Road Dog. Totally agree, bud. Totally agree.
Man, that's a whole lot of promo for your YouTube channel there. One of these days, we'll promo my stuff too. One of these days. That's, I'm holding on, bud, just holding on. Hey, listen, you talk about, obviously, the long game. We all know the long game is well, it's not just important, it's where the big dollars are, right? Because once you can figure that out. But in the spirit of maybe Black Friday specials or whatever, like how would you go about getting, and I hate to use the word instant, but relatively quick, okay, success on, say, Facebook and Insta? Like, is there sort of anything that you can recommend to the folks about that?
The Road Dog, did I read this? Somebody sent in instant success and then you refused to say it. Is that what just happened?
That just happened. Yeah.
Nice. Folks, Take that one. That's a lesson right there. That's who Road Dog is what happened right there in front of you. Look, well, Road Dog, you kind of said it, like pre-frame. You got to be thinking long term, but let instant success. Private message is going to be the way to do it, right? Don't think you're going to go put a post on Facebook and it's magically going to do, magic. Although it can and will. But we're talking to a business. This question is being asked by a business coach who is pretty new, a bit light on cash, and going, look, let's make it happen, or at least that's what I'm going to assume. And I'd be amazed if I'm not correct, right? So, private message would be the way to do it. Actually, we mentioned Vaynerchuk, right? He's an absolute specimen. And his advice is similar. I remember talking to Frank Kern, and what he told me when we last spoke is I've got thousands of friend requests on Facebook and simply don't have the time to even think about it. One of the reasons I don't add people is often I get these instant messages just saying, like, sign up for my free list, or let's talk about XYZ where we partner together. Like, that message comes through and it's just like, come on, like no thanks, right? If I want a partner, and I'm not short on options, just quietly, and I'm not saying that arrogantly. I'm just saying like maybe doing your homework. Like, I haven't done a joint venture in like 3 or 4 years, and I don't do interviews and haven't done one of those in years. So maybe coming to me and asking me that might not be the best pre-frame, like as in maybe an indication you didn't do your homework. But what I want to get at here, if I wanted instant success, I need to enter the conversation going on inside somebody's head, right? So when you gain a new friend on, let's say it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's LinkedIn, a connection or whatever, send them a private message and say something to the effect of, wow, great to connect. Actually, you know what? Say great to connect with you, and then use their name. That will increase conversions. Do you have a post you'd like me to like and or engage with / comment on, right? Do you see how that changes? Like, that is, what can I do for you? And if they're on Facebook, on Instagram, and in LinkedIn, who doesn't like engagement on Facebook, right? That's just like, everybody likes that, right? And then assuming they say yes, you like, comment, and potentially share it, right? Like, you just started the relationship by adding value to the other person. Again, they love engagement, right? That was the conversation in their head. So you did it in a really positive way. And again, the frame, Road Dog, always lead with value. You never want to come across as needy. Again, the needing nothing will attract everything. Something like, I don't know if I'm making a meal of that quote, but like that, thinking about that as a frame. And it sounds good, but most people are doing the exact opposite, right? Leading with value. Again, my YouTube channel, which is going horrifically, but Road Dog just said I'm plugging whatever. I just talked about forming a joint venture with it, and what I started with is, I want to form a joint venture with you. The first question that goes into my mind is, what's your biggest problem? And then, can I solve it? Right. So, like, the accountant, the problem that they have is that people come to see them once a year, and then that's during tax season. It makes them so busy, and it just compounds their already busyness. And you want rose petal service and everything done yesterday, and you want to pay the minimum amount. Well, go to the accountant and solve that problem by saying, send me a client. I will work with them. I will guarantee that they come in to see you 4 times a year at a minimum, if not 10 to 12 times a year. They will not participate in that crazy tax season. And by the way, instead of charging them $2,000 for the 12 months, you'll now be charging them $10,000, because you'll be working significantly quicker with, or closer with them. And, that's going to get you it done. And then again, go to somebody with a magazine, go to a promotional company, go to a networking organization, think, what is the number one problem that they have, and then help them solve it. So anyway, so just coming, Road Dog, from that place of value is what I'm getting at. That's what I got, Shoots.
That's it? Wow. Okay. You never know with you. And this is like the dangerous time. It's like, we're nearing close to, the time where I'm like, do I go one more question? Do I get scared of rabbit holes? What are we doing here? So I'm going to play it safe today, folks, and you'll thank me later for it. But of everything we've covered today, because I know there's actually a few real good nuggets in here, and I know that you're going to expand on it. What's one piece, just one, that somebody can take and implement into their business today?
What's one thing? Shoots. I liked that was good. That was good. Look, at the fundamentals, my daughter's hockey team. First thing I thought about, I wanted my daughter. The truth is, I want my daughter to have fun. No, I want my daughter to keep playing hockey. I didn't failure for me on that day. No, and it wouldn't have been the end of the world, far from. But if my daughter played hockey and then didn't like it and didn't want to go back, that would have been like a little bit of a bummer, right? So I went to the fundamental, and what did I say? Well, I just know that people have more fun when they win, right? Including like my beer league hockey team. When we win, we have more fun. The beers taste better than when we lose, right? And by the way, just watch the Super Bowl, watch the World Series, watch the Stanley Cup, watch the final in a like a Grand Slam tennis match, and these guys are worth millions and millions, tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars, and they're in tears, right? They get their towel over their head for 10 minutes, can't even look up. I knew that winning was important. So I thought to myself, okay, well, how can I help them win? And I also knew that knowing I want the kids to become a good team, and I want them to like me as their coach. And I know that if I knew their name, that would go a long way in making, in helping me build that bond, right? So again, I had a piece of paper, and not only their name, but I was getting the pronunciation of their name. And did I hit it out of the park? There was a couple that I had a couple of, it wasn't the perfect pronunciation, but I had every one of their names before the start of the first game, right? And by the way, I'm stupid, but you know what I mean? I was proud of that. Like, these kids had fun. I think that they all listened, whatever. I'm not going to, the fundamentals is what I'm getting at. And I knew that winning was that. Okay. A business coach. If you get a client, you have fun. You don't get a client, you don't have fun, right? The end. So guess why we built the software? Guess why we train you on how to find anybody 100 grand in 45 minutes without you spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising immediately when you come in? Because I know that, you know what I mean? Like, that's going to help you get that win. So I think, Road Dog, that's it. And then maybe just like we talked about Gary Vaynerchuk a little bit today. And like, just again, like, it's who he is. Like, that's a fundamental as well. Like, worrying about the tactics and all that sort of stuff, go to your identity. Like, walk into that room. Let's call it networking. It's the oil and gas. It's the yacht club. It's the golf, the golf club, what have you, with a bunch of business owner, and like, walk in like you own it. Actually, I get a buddy, love the guy, right? Like, I swear, he's actually been in movies, and he's like, funny guy. But if he's in the movies, and he has been in the movies, he's like a mafia guy, right? Sounds like a mafia guy, looks like a mafia guy, massive shoulders, do. Anyways, we're at a bar one time, we're having a couple pops. He wants to leave. I can't remember quite the dynamic, right? But I'm like, shoots, you can't leave, man. I'm standing here by myself looking like a tool, and I'm not ready to go home, right? Like, I want to have a couple of pops. This is where I want to be right now. I don't want to go home, but he had to go home. The kids do, right? And something, I can't remember quite how it was. But he's like, something to the effect of the advice, and I'm going to kind of take it in a slightly different direction, but like, when he walks to the bar, okay, he walks to the bar like he owns the bar. Right? Like, that's his attitude. That is who he is. That is what he is. Nothing's going to change it. He can be with, the Miami Dolphins, and he has, strong connections to them, and he's got seats on the 50-yard line. Some of you know who I'm talking about, by the way. But anyway, so, he's got these types of circles, but no matter if he's with the Miami Dolphins, he's with himself, he's with his buddies who look like they're from the, mafia types too. He walks to the bar and he orders a drink like he owns the bar. And when he was a kid, his family owned the bar, by the way. So anyways, maybe horrific example, don't know. But when you walk into that networking group, this is where I was trying to go. When you walk into that networking group, walk in like you own the group, like it's your group, and they're all to see you. And I know as I say this, you can kind of picture it like it's, you know what I mean? Like just walk in like that's who you are. And then, by the way, in order to do that, you've got to think of Michael Jordan walking on the basketball court. You need to have your shoulders back, your chest up. Like imagine that right in the middle of your chest, I got a string, okay? And then I pull it up. That's the way, and it's the Superman stance, right? But that's the way watch Michael Jordan walk. Watch videos. Go to YouTube right now and watch him. That's how he walks. That's the way you should walk. If you want to walk into that networking group and be like as though you own it, you want to walk into the room with a girl that sells the most, chamber memberships, and you're going to form a joint venture with her. You're going to form a partnership, and you're going to become, the solution to her business problems and her clients' business problems, and she's going to refer 25 to 100 people over the next 12 months to you. Walk in her office like you own it, right? Like it's your office and she's visiting, and again, not in an arrogant way, but in a confident way. Big difference between the two, right? But like confidence, actually, and not even confidence, but from a place of certainty, right? So not confidence, from a place of certainty. And what's that certainty? That you're going to help her, that you're going to help her clients, that she's going to refer you to 3 of her clients, and they're going to come in and say, God bless you and thank you so much for basically doing that. Like that's the place that I want you to come at it from. So, and that, I don't know how I got there, but Gary Vaynerchuk and whatnot, it's when he was doing discounting of Jim Beam and Budweiser and Coors Light and the most popular alcohol, he knew because of who he was as a 20-year-old, but he knew he was going to be able to take them from the Bud over to the craft beer and sell it consistently. And by the way, do you think people came in and bought like 10 cases of Coors Light and he lost a lot of money and they weren't interested in looking at anything and they were in a rush, they were having a party and get out of my way, 20-year-old kid, and screw you. And they lost money on that, right? Did that make him stop the promotion? The answer is no. Because again, he did, you know what I mean? Like it just comes back to, I'm going to make this thing work, but also not from a stupidity point of view. Like he could have done something and it didn't work well. Do you think he would have put the brakes on it? Do you think he would have cut it off at the knees? Do you think he would have stopped? Do you think that he's too arrogant and too stupid to basically be able to accept that once in a while he guessed wrong? And again, because of who he was, no, he was like totally willing to chop it off at the knees. Did that stop him from taking another risk? And the answer is no. So, Road Dog, where am I going there? Just, it's about who you are, working on your identity along with working on your tactics and your scripts and your approach and the people that you're going to approach and the rooms that you're going to enter. Walking up to the bar like you own the bar. I don't know. I think maybe there's a little bit of magic in that for a business coach, lacking a little bit of confidence, lacking a little bit of certainty. Walk in there like you're totally certain. So, Shoots, that's my last thing, bud.
Okay, so I got 2 things for you. First off, if the beer tastes sweeter, with a win, I'm not sure how long your youth hockey coaching career is going to last. Pretty sure they're a little underage there, Shoots. Might want to settle down on the pints on the bench. Listen, the one thing that really you're talking about the coaching thing, and obviously that's a big piece for me, right? And I look at that when you look at your daughter's team and you're talking about some of the stuff that they're doing. Look, it's not a straight line to success, right? And as a matter of fact, it would probably be doing them a disservice to go and just have all of the success straight out of the gate, right? Because the hard times, the lessons that you learn in the failures are probably far more important in terms of building a proper sort of, we'll use business in this sense, right? Like, would you not agree that if you just have nothing but everything just land perfectly for you, that's almost a dangerous type of situation. It's never going to happen, by the way, right? Nothing ever works out perfectly unless you're completely Prime Minister of Canada. But you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those situations of that there is no straight line to success. It's okay to suck. And as a matter of fact, you're going to be better for it.
Yeah. Shoots, a great example of that is we both know the kid who grew up with a silver tongue in his, or silver spoon in his mouth, and daddy's Visa gold card, at the age of 16, and then got bought a BMW on his 16th, 17th, or 18th birthday when he could start driving. Like, how did that work out for him? Right. And Okay, so you learn, like your road dog, you're exactly right. You learn more when you fail than when you succeed all day long and twice on Sunday. But you've got to know, and only wisdom will teach you this, and experience will teach you this. But just like the weather, there are seasons, right? And you're going to go through you're going to go through winter. But the good news is spring is around the corner, right? Um, so yeah, you just, taking a few bops in the mouth, provided you're learning and provided you accept that you're like on a journey. Like one of the things also, road dog, I tell you this, and I've experienced this with 1,000,000% certainty, like imposter syndrome. When you go to the next level, like Tony Robbins goes to the next level, he feels like an imposter. He becomes an owner in the, professional sporting team. He's like, whoa, 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 do I belong here? And then he rises above and becomes, certain and confident, right? It's the business coach takes on the biggest fear that most coaches have when they're new is that somebody's actually going to say yes. Why? They feel that imposter syndrome. And then the question is who they are, right? They start dropping the ball, not replying, head in the sand, hiding. Well, that's who they are. When it's the exact opposite, and hopefully that's the case. And if it's not, you got to grow into that. But what you do is you just stand up and you admit when you're wrong. You admit when you're over your head. You admit when you're stretching a little bit. And that being said, don't be in too much of a hurry to go and admit that you're over your head. What you do is you go to YouTube, you go to the podcast, you get on the phone, you network, you pick up the phone and speak to somebody who's got the experience you're looking for. Ask them some smart, intelligent, clear, defined questions. Come up with the answers you're looking for, and then go back and say, okay, here's what we got to do. But when you go to the next level, as you continue to grow and expand, everybody feel like hockey, right? Like again, there was different teams that I made when I was like a superstar in my when I was with kids like roughly my own age, and then I went up and played with guys that were older and taller and bigger and everything else. I immediately went to imposter syndrome. Like, do I belong in this room? Am I going to get my head knocked off? Are these guys going to hate me? Are these guys going to love me? Do I have what it's in me to basically rise above? And because, again, I like to think, because of who I was, I would, first couple of games might have been a little bit, how you doing? And then I got a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And I ended up just fine. And so in the business coaching world, same thing. Elevate. Every time you go to the next level, every time, like the first time you get you get $150,000 client, like that's their gross revenues, right? They're small potatoes and a bit pathetic. And then you go to a $500,000 business and it's like, whoa, bigger leagues. And then you get your first client that's doing over 7 figures. You get somebody who does 7 figures a year that's entrusting you to be their mentor. Don't think for a second you're not going to feel a little bit that imposter syndrome that I described earlier with youth sport, right? As you're elevating and moving into, bigger rooms and, guys with mustaches and anyway, conversation another day. It's like, what road dog?
Okay. You know what, folks? All I'm going to say is this. If an imposter syndrome kicks in, just remember, Karl Bryan lost a BMX race to a guy with one leg. That's it. That's all you need to know. There it is.
My dad mercilessly made fun of me, I'll tell you. Then I got a trophy for coming in third once, right? There was 3 people in the race. I came in third. My dad, he's like, did you go up and get that trophy? Like, he's like, where are you going to put that? My friends would come over and my dad would talk about it. And everybody always drive to hockey with my dad and I, right? Like everybody wanted to drive with my dad because he was funny and he would tell jokes and blah, 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 blah. And he would tell that story with 100% certainty. If you hadn't been in the car yet, a new guy got in the car. My dad, let me tell you a story about Karl. And then he'd tell him, Karl, when Karl was a baby, he was so ugly, we had to tie a pork chop around his neck so that the dog would play with him. Like, Dad, like stop every time, but that's maybe, I don't know, maybe that shaped a little bit of humility in me. I don't know. But I lost a BMX race to a black guy with one leg. That happened. He's fast, man. It was unbelievable. You should have seen him. It was unreal. So I wasn't the only guy that lost to him. So there you go.
There you go, folks. There you go. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's not BMX secrets because that would be a mistake. If you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or just want to know basically how you can run a better business coaching practice, go to focus.com and subscribe today. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share and please also leave a review. As we know, all the streaming services rank you higher with more reviews. So please go ahead and do that. And that is it for another week. We will see you on the next episode. Remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.